Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I'll be taking a look at the Hot Toys Anakin Skywalker 6-scale figure from Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Let's see how it turned out. Alright, first up as always, we're going to take a look at the packaging, and it's exactly as we've come to expect from basically everybody who makes Star Wars figures out there. Any company is pretty much bound by this design that I think is pushed onto them by Lucasfilm, and it's great. It's attractive, there's a uniformity to it that makes all the boxes look good if that's what you want to do is keep them on a shelf. So yeah, good looking stuff with great photography of the figure. Speaking of which, look at all this stuff. There's a few different arm options. There's the robot arm, there's the lightsaber light-up arm, which I'll never use. Many hands. Not a mind-blowing number of hands, but really just all that you would need as far as force pushing, force choking. Great portrait of Hayden Christensen. The belt here looks really good. That pleather material, it reads really well with the light. Don't forget to take this thing off at the neck. I failed to do that a time or two. Pretty much loving what I'm seeing here insofar as accessories are concerned. Have to get these baggies off of these feet. This, again, back to this lightsaber arm, it's a great feature, but I just really don't find it useful, so I won't be showcasing it here in this video. If that's your thing, then great, but it's not for me. Alright, now that we know what we've got, let's see what we can do with it. You'll notice right here out of the gate that cloak is just a bit on the short side. It could have used another ½ inch in length at the least. It's not even remotely close to dragging the ground as the Jedi cloaks did very clearly in Revenge of the Sith. At this point in time, that's my only complaint about this figure. For the first pose though, I would like to keep it on, all of its imperfections aside, and because I really just like the look. Ever since Episode 1 came out, I've really enjoyed the look of the way that those cloaks move when the battle sequences are underway. Just an obligatory note of caution here, just as always, please be careful when you're messing with these hands. Those pegs are, for what they are, they're very sturdy, but they are somewhat delicate. You'll also notice that I'm having to pull some plastic out of that arm that is used to protect. I'm guessing it's meant to protect the arms from any sort of staining from the dyes in the sleeves. That's been an ongoing concern for a lot of Hot Toys figures lately. And if you're really sensitive about it, I think that you can probably get away with going ahead and leaving the plastic on the arms. Even going so far as to leaving the wrapping around the neck. Now you'll notice that I've taken mine off here and I'm doing the same with the plastic. The reason for that is that I plan on doing some very up close and detailed photography on this thing. And it's very hard to hide the plastic and the neck sheath from the photos. So I've gone ahead and removed those, and I'm not too terribly concerned with staining. I don't think that it's going to be an issue with mine, but hey, famous last words, and why did I even say that? Now it's definitely going to happen. At any rate, putting that aside, you'll see that what I'm going to try to do here is try to capture Anakin in one of his classic mid-rotation techniques where he's just spinning the lightsaber blade and just reaching out to catch it in mid-spin. The intent here is going to be that he's slightly on the defensive. He's not stepping forward, in fact he's stepping back, as if he's just backing off just a little bit after having just deflected a blaster bolt. Or, well, I don't think in this sequence in the movie we've noticed him actually dueling with anybody with a lightsaber. In fact, now that I think about it, I don't think we ever see anybody doing a lightsaber duel with a cloak on, except for possibly Darth Maul in Episode 1. Working with the body here, I was delighted by the flexibility of it. The range of motion is very solid. It's exactly what you come to expect from Hot Toys True type bodies. Down at the boots, those boots are pliable enough that you're going to be able to bend them any which way. To a certain extent, obviously. It's not unlimited, but it's not as limited as many other boots that I've tried. The first thing that pops into my mind would be, say, Jyn Erso. Possibly what looks to be the new Darth Maul figure from Hot Toys is going to suffer from a similar rigidity that is going to prevent you from doing the kind of things that you can do with this figure here. I actually have that Darth Maul figure on pre-order, the deluxe version, and I plan to do a round of photos and a review similar to this one when it does come in. It's quite a ways out, but if you're watching this review for the first time in, say, summer of 2019, then I'll probably have it already up for you. Look at that. Sturdy, stable. Look at that, standing on its own. I think that at this point there are very few refinements that need to be done. drop him down a little bit there, just a little bit more of a, and lift one of those feet off the ground just to try to provide a little bit more of a sense of motion, of action, and trying to achieve that balance using only one foot, which is difficult in the best of situations. But this figure definitely pulls it off. It's uncanny how good Hot Toys is at creating figures that can do this kind of thing unassisted. Another added benefit of applying some motion to your pose with a figure like this is that it sort of hides and negates the short length of that cloak. It's like when you drop him down to the ground, it lowers the cloak to the ground, so it's not as obvious. Also, the motion, when the cloak is in motion, it does have a tendency to lift off the ground, so that kind of explains it away, sort of a retcon of why it's so short. See, it's almost there, it's almost touching the ground. So there you go. If you were looking for a way to hide that short cloak, there you've got it. Just bend those knees and drop him into a slightly deep action pose. As a longtime fan of Star Wars since 1977, when I was 6 years old, I'm that rarest of birds who gets almost as much, if not as much, pleasure out of the prequel trilogy as I did out of the original trilogy. I found things within them to love, and there's quite a bit when you look for it, and when you have an understanding of what Lucas was attempting to do with the originals, as well as what he was attempting to do with the prequels. And Anakin's character, I really dig. I also dig his look, and the look of things is more than a lot of other things is what I get into Star Wars for. The darker tones of the costume, combined with the choice of materials, that leather of his tabard suggesting the leather of Vader's costume itself, the boots also being reminiscent of Vader's boots, very, very slightly. It's very subtle, but it's there, and I really just dig it. I love everything about it. That head sculpt, first rate. Everything about this figure. This is one of the figures of the year in my estimation, so I hope you liked the review. Feel free to leave comments, and until next time, be good to your plastic.